My family texted, "Please don't come," 4 days before my brother's wedding at my venue. I replied, "Understood," then canceled every vendor, every flower, every caterer. On the wedding day, he called sobbing, "Why is there nothing here?" My brother called me at 4:02 p.m. on a Saturday in June, crying so hard the words came out in pieces. "Cora, why is there no food? Why are there no flowers? There's no band. Why is there nothing here?" I could hear Haley behind him. Not words, just the sound a person makes when the day they've been building in their head for 2 years has collapsed into a bare field with a PVC arch and a folding table of Costco vegetable platters sweating in the afternoon sun. My mother's voice, somewhere further back, pitched high and sharp at someone I couldn't identify. 180 guests. No caterer, no florals, no quartet, no event staff, just gravel and heat and the particular silence of a venue where every contracted vendor has been lawfully, formally, and very deliberately canceled. I let my brother finish, or try to finish. It took a while. Then I spoke quietly, almost gently. "Tyler," I said, "just a small gift. Don't make a big deal out of it." 4 seconds of silence, the kind that has weight. "People are leaving," he said. His voice had gone flat. "Haley's family is leaving. The pastor left. Then I imagine it will be a quiet wedding." "Cora, please, I'll do anything. Just tell me what you—" "Goodbye, Tyler." I hung up first. My husband Daniel handed me a glass of water without saying anything. We were sitting on our back porch, 30 miles from the Bradford family and whatever was left of that afternoon. The river moved slow and gray below the meadow. A hawk made one wide circle over the field and was gone. I want to tell you I felt something enormous in that moment. Triumph or grief or the particular electricity of a long-planned thing finally detonating. But the honest answer is that I felt very quiet. The way you feel when you've been carrying something heavy for a long time and you finally set it down. My name is Cora Whitmore. I'm 37 years old. I own and operate Wildflower House, an 1840s farmhouse on 12 acres outside Hartford, Connecticut, that I spent 4 years and most of my savings restoring from a structurally compromised shell into the kind of venue that ends up in bridal magazines. Stone fireplaces original to the house, a restored timber frame barn with market lighting strung at 14 feet, a meadow that slopes toward a river and turns gold in the late afternoon in a way that photographers book 6 months out just to capture, an 1880s kitchen garden that my head florist, Beverly Okafor, uses as her personal sourcing ground from May through October, 2-year waiting list, average booking $24,000. Corporate buyouts have run as high as $68,000 for the full property weekend package. I built it by hand. Literally, I have the scar on my left palm from a reclaimed beam that shifted wrong in year 2 to prove it. My event director, Carmen Whitfield, has been with me since the beginning, when beginning meant a functioning bathroom and a prayer. My contracts are 18 pages long, drafted by my husband Daniel, who has practiced commercial contract law in Hartford for 11 years and treats ambiguity in legal language the way other people treat mold, something to be eliminated before it spreads. I'm telling you all of this because I need you to understand something clearly before the rest of this story. I knew exactly what I was doing. Every step, every clause, every carefully worded email sent at 8:01 on a Friday morning. I did not stumble into this. I walked in with both eyes open and the contract memorized. My brother Tyler is 3 years younger than me and has been, for as long as I can remember, the version of our family's story that got told at dinner parties. Warm, funny. The kind of person who makes friends in elevator rides and remembers strangers' dogs' names. These are real qualities. I'm not inventing them to make him more complicated. He genuinely has them. He also has the particular blindness that comes from spending a lifetime being the one everyone is delighted to see, which means he has never fully developed the muscle that notices when the people around him are being quietly, consistently overlooked. That person was me. Our mother, Renata Bradford, is a woman of strong aesthetic opinions and selective attention. She is warm to the people she's decided to be warm to, and she has decided over the course of her children's lives to be warm to Tyler in a way that required no effort on his part, and to be warm to me in a way that required me to be useful. I had been useful my whole life. I was useful in a new, concrete financial way the day I sent Tyler the venue agreement for Wildflower House. He texted me on a Thursday in December, 7 months before the wedding. "Sis, Mom says you'd probably help out. Haley loves your place. Can we use it?" I sent the agreement by end of day. 18 pages. Family rate, 40% off the standard booking fee, which brought the total to $38,280 all in, including venue access, coordination services, and vendor network management through my LLC. Tyler signed page 18, the signature page, that same night. He did not read pages 1 through 17. My mother co-signed as guarantor the following afternoon. She called me afterward, pleased and warm in the way she gets when things are going her way. "Honey, you're so generous. This means the world to Tyler. It really does." She had read the first paragraph and stopped. She did not read section 14. I filed both signed copies in a navy folder, one in my office, one at Daniel's firm on Asylum Street in Hartford. Daniel had said when I handed him the folder, "You built this with a good exit." He didn't ask if I expected to use it. We'd been married 9 years. He already knew the answer. Haley Vance was 29, a brand consultant, and had 14,000 Instagram followers, which she mentioned twice within the first 30 minutes of our venue tour. She was not unkind to my face. That's the important thing to understand about how this kind of erosion works. It's almost never direct. It's the TikTok caption, the whispered comment, the Instagram post that doesn't tag the person standing right next to you. The day I walked Haley and my mother through Wildflower House, Haley filmed the entire tour on her phone. She posted a reel that evening. Golden hour footage of the barn, the meadow, the kitchen garden, the stone fireplace, and the bridal suite. Touring my dream venue, the caption read. She did not tag me. I was the one who had walked her through every room. I noticed. I told myself content creators do this constantly. It doesn't mean anything. She probably just forgot. 3 days later, I was setting up a vendor call in the bridal suite when I heard Haley's voice in the hallway. She thought I'd stepped outside. Her voice had the particular carrying quality of someone who doesn't fully modulate based on her audience. She's giving mom of bride energy, Haley said. I want clean frames. Modern. She keeps wanting to be in the shots. My mother's voice, low and soothing. We'll sort it, honey. I stood very still in the bridal suite. My hands stayed flat on the table. I told myself it was aesthetic preference. Bridal energy. I told myself Haley was stressed and people said things when they were stressed and it wasn't worth cataloging. But I cataloged it. I catalog everything. It's a professional habit. The rehearsal dinner was at a restaurant in West Hartford, 8 weeks before the wedding. Daniel and I arrived at 6:45 and found our place cards at table 9. Not ideal. A little removed from the main family cluster, but fine. I made peace with table 9. By 7:15, Tyler had found me at the drink station. Hey, just a heads up. We shuffled the seating a little. You guys are at 12. Table 12 was the vendor table. Beverly Okafor was at table 12. So was the photographer's second shooter and the woman from the rental company. Good people. People I liked and worked with regularly. Also, not family. I looked at Tyler. He looked somewhere slightly to the left of my face. Of course, I said. Across the room, Haley caught my eye and gave me a small, pleasant smile. I smiled back. On the drive home, Daniel said nothing for a while. Then, she moved us to the vendor table. Yes, at an event at your venue. It's their event. He made a sound that wasn't quite agreement. I stared out the passenger window at the Hartford skyline and felt something shift. Not snap, shift. The slow movement of something that has been under pressure for a long time, finally finding a new position. I thought about Section 14. I did not say anything about it yet. The TikTok went up 8 days before the wedding. I was having coffee when my cousin Miriam texted me a link without comment. Haley's account, soft piano, golden backlight, Haley in a white robe, pressing a travel iron slowly across her veil. Her voice was measured and deliberate, the kind of cadence people develop when they know they're being watched and want to seem as though they don't. Some family members carry energy that doesn't belong in your sacred day, she said. Love them from a distance, protect your peace. Your wedding is not a place for people who don't know how to hold space. The comments were full of heart emojis and this and queen behavior. 8,000 views by noon. My mother shared it to her Facebook page by 1 p.m. Her caption, so proud of my future daughter. Healing energy is a real choice. Blessed. I read the post 3 times. Then I opened the Navy folder on my desk and read Section 14 once. Owner reserves the right to cancel all services, vendor contracts, and event coordination within 96 hours of the scheduled event date upon written notice to the guarantor of record. In the event of cancellation under this clause, the deposit and all payments received shall be considered fully forfeited. No refund shall be issued. Owner assumes no liability for consequential damages arising from cancellation exercised within the terms of this agreement. Daniel had written that section specifically. When I'd asked him why he'd included it 14 months ago, he'd said, because you should always know your exit, even when you're planning to stay. I called Carmen Whitfield. Carmen has been my event director for 6 years. She's 44, ex-hotel operations, the kind of professional who can manage a catering crisis and a wedding meltdown simultaneously without raising her voice above conversational level. She has seen every variety of client behavior this industry produces and has strong, considered opinions about all of it. I told her I might need to execute Section 14. Silence for a moment. Then, how far out are we? 9 days. Who's the family? I told her. Another pause. Cora, I watched them move you to the vendor table. Yes, your own venue. Yes. Okay, she said. If you pull the trigger, I'll lock the gates at 6 a.m. Saturday. Nobody gets past the gravel without my keys. I'm not decided yet. I need to give it until Friday. I'll be ready either way. Tuesday night, 6 days before the wedding. I was making pasta, rigatoni, jar sauce, a weeknight kind of dinner, when my phone buzzed on the counter. My mother, honey, this is hard to say, but Tyler wants the day to be drama-free. Please don't come. We'll explain everything after. Love you. 17 seconds later, my brother, just send a gift. Don't make this hard. I set the wooden spoon on the rest beside the stove. Read both messages twice. The pasta was still going. I picked up my phone and typed one word, sent it to both of them. Lock the screen. Understood. Daniel came in from the living room. He had heard my phone buzz twice, and he knew from the quality of the silence that followed what kind of messages they were. He looked at my face, looked at my phone on the counter, looked back at my face. I said, they uninvited me. He didn't say I told you so. He's never once in 9 years said I told you so, which is one of the reasons I married him. He said, what do you need? The contract. Section 14. Walk me through my legal exposure. We sat at the kitchen table until 11 with the 18-page agreement open between us and the pasta going cold in its pot on the stove. Daniel went through it line by line, not because I didn't know it, but because I needed to hear it in his voice, in his measured attorney's cadence, before I decided. He read Section 14 aloud, read the guarantor clause, read the vendor sub-agreements, each of which contained a mirror clause, giving me termination rights as the primary contracting party. Every vendor on this wedding is under your LLC, he said. Beverly, Cypress Kitchen, the Quartet, Carmen. They answer to Wildflower House. Not to the Bradfords. The Bradfords have no direct contractual relationship with any of them. Quick pause. If you want more stories like this in better quality, my Spotify's linked in the description. What's my legal risk? Zero, he said. You're exercising a right you disclosed in writing that they signed that was available for 7 months for either of them to read. He looked at me over the contract. You gave them 18 pages and they signed page 18. I opened my laptop. I had 4 email drafts already written. I'd built them in November, the same week I built section 14, the way you build a fire exit into a structure, not because you expect fire, but because you're a person who reads the blueprints before you move in. Beverly Okafor, Cypress Kitchen Catering, Hudson Valley String Quartet, Carmen Whitfield. I didn't send them yet. I want to give them until Friday, I said. Daniel looked at me steadily. They won't call. I know, but it cost me nothing to give them the time. I closed the laptop. We ate cold pasta and went to bed. Nobody called Wednesday. Nobody called Thursday. Friday, 8:01 a.m. I opened the laptop, opened the 4 drafts, read each one, clicked send. Beverly Okafor, lead florist, James Beard nominated floral designer with a 12-week waiting list. Notified. Contract canceled per section 14, termination clause 14.3. All florals, installations, and ceremony arrangements suspended. Cypress Kitchen Catering. Executive Chef Dominic Reyes, James Beard semi-finalist 2019. The reason the Bradfords had agreed to Wildflower in the first place. Notified. $22,400 in catering services canceled. Event pulled from their Saturday schedule. Hudson Valley String Quartet. 4-session musicians who had played 40 Wildflower weddings. Notified. 3-hour ceremony and cocktail hour booking canceled. Carmen Whitfield, event director. Notified. Staff deployment for Saturday suspended. Gate protocol engaged. By 9:14, all 4 had confirmed receipt. Carmen's reply was the last one in my inbox, arriving at 9:14 exactly. Cora, understood. Staff stays off Saturday. I'll lock the gates at 6 a.m. Anyone who arrives unauthorized hits gravel and stops there. I have the only keys. I read it once. Closed the laptop. Made coffee. The light was good that morning. It came through the kitchen window and lay across the floor in long, warm strips the way it does in June, when the angle is right and the trees are full. I stood in it for a while with my mug. Daniel came downstairs at 9:30, looked at my face, looked at the closed laptop. Done. He poured his own coffee, sat across from me. We didn't talk about it. We talked about whether the river trail was going to be muddy from Thursday's rain, and whether we wanted to drive up to Litchfield for dinner, and what we were going to do with the 12 acres on a Saturday in June when the world was fine and the gates were locked and there was nothing left to manage. My mother called at 2:17 p.m. I didn't answer. She called again at 2:34 and 2:51 and 3:08. The pattern of the calls had a quality to it, a rhythm that told me something was being discovered incrementally at the venue. A guest arriving and finding a locked gate, a call to Carmen going to voicemail, a text to Beverly producing an auto reply. The slow dawning assembly of what canceled actually meant when applied to every element of a wedding simultaneously. I watched the missed calls accumulate on my screen like a gauge. At 3:40, a number I didn't recognize called twice. I later found out it was Haley's mother, Pamela Vance, the woman who had nodded pleasantly at the rehearsal dinner when my mother described me as the quiet one. At 4:02, Tyler called. I answered on the 3rd ring. He was crying in the particular way people cry when they are also shouting, the sounds running into each other so that it came through the phone as something jagged and hard to parse. Cora, why is there no food? There are no flowers. There's no band. The caterer is not here. Nobody is here. Why? Haley's voice behind him. The high, disbelieving sound of a bride who has arrived at her venue to find a bare PVC arch someone rented from a party supply company and a folding table of vegetable platters that had been sitting in the June heat for 2 hours. I thought about the vendor table at the rehearsal dinner. I thought about she's giving mom of bride energy. I thought about my mother sharing a TikTok about people who carry bad energy with the caption, "So proud of my future daughter." I thought about please don't come. I said, Tyler, just a small gift. Don't make a big deal out of it. The silence that followed those 8 words had a specific texture, like the moment after a door closes in an empty house. People are leaving, he finally said. The crying had shifted into something flatter. Haley's family, the pastor. People are just leaving. Then I imagine it will be a quiet wedding. Cora, please. His voice broke. Please. I'll do anything. Just tell me what you need to hear. Goodbye, Tyler. I hung up, set the phone face down on the porch railing. Daniel handed me a glass of water, still cold from the tap. I held it with both hands and looked out at the meadow below our property. Our meadow, 12 acres, the one I'd bought for $340,000 11 years ago, when everyone said it was too much land for one person and too much project for a first-time property owner. The river moved slow and gray at the far edge. A hawk made one long circle above the tree line and disappeared into the wood. 180 guests. No caterer, no flowers, no band, no event director, no staff. No string lights strung through the timber frame barn by Carmen's team the Thursday before the event the way they always were. Just a bare field, a rented arch, and whatever Haley's family had managed to pull together in the 90 minutes before the ceremony was supposed to start. I drank drink my water. The river moved. I had given them 7 months and a signed contract and 18 pages that explained in plain language exactly what I was capable of. They had read page 18 and assumed the rest was fine print. The aftermath came in waves. My mother did not speak to me for 3 weeks. When she did, the call lasted 4 minutes and consisted primarily of the phrase, "I never thought you were capable of this," which I found interesting, given that she had co-signed an 18-page contract detailing my capabilities in considerable legal detail. Tyler and Haley had managed, in the 40 minutes between the first frantic calls and the ceremony time, to produce a wedding of sorts. The pastor had come back after Tyler called him. 41 of the 180 guests stayed. The Costco platters fed approximately a third of them. There are photographs. I have seen them, forwarded by my cousin Miriam with the kind of dark, supportive energy that only your most loyal relatives produce. The PVC arch, the empty field. Haley in her dress, holding flowers that appear to be grocery store hydrangeas wrapped in twine. She looks, in the photographs, like a woman who has learned something significant about reading contracts. Tyler called me 6 weeks after the wedding, not to yell. He was quiet in a way I hadn't heard from him in years. Not his usual performing warmth quiet, but something genuinely flat and genuinely tired. "I should have read it," he said. "Yes," I said. "Mom said you were being vindictive. I was exercising a right that was disclosed in writing and signed by you and co-signed by Mom." "Yeah." A long pause. "I know. I waited." "Did you know you were going to do it?" he asked. "When you built the contract, did you already know?" I thought about the 4 email drafts I'd written in November, the same month I filed the Navy folder at Daniel's firm. "I knew I had the exit," I said. "I didn't know I'd need it." That wasn't entirely true, but it was close enough. My attorney, Daniel, has subsequently been retained by 2 other venue owners in Connecticut who found out about Section 14 through the industry network. Carmen mentioned it at a regional event planning conference in October. Beverly Okafor, who was characteristically unbothered by the whole situation, told a reporter from a wedding industry trade publication that it was the most professionally executed exit clause she'd seen in 12 years of event florals. That quote made me genuinely happy. There's a question people always ask when I tell this story, and I want to answer it honestly. Did I feel bad? Yes. Not about the clause, not about the vendors, or the canceled contracts, or the vegetable platters in the June heat. Those things were lawful and documented and exactly what the agreement said. But Tyler was crying on that phone call. He was genuinely crying, not performing, not angling, just a man standing in an empty field on his wedding day, understanding for the first time what it costs to not pay attention to the people who have been building things around you for years. That landed. I'm not going to pretend it didn't. What I felt was not triumph. It was closer to the specific exhaustion that comes after something has been wrong for a long time and has finally stopped being wrong. The way a muscle feels after it unclenches, tender, relieved, slightly hollowed out. My grandmother Edith, who was 82 and could not travel from her home in Maine, but called me the morning of the wedding to say she was thinking of me, said something on that call I've held on to. "You built something real," she said. "People who don't build things don't understand what it costs, and they don't understand what it means when you choose to protect it." That was the only validation I needed. I'd had it before the phone rang at 4:02. It's been 8 months. Wildflower House is booked through October of next year. Beverly is already planning the kitchen garden expansion. Carmen hired a second coordinator. Daniel is drafting an updated version of the contract, 22 pages now, with 2 new sections I suggested based on what I learned from the Bradford booking. Tyler and Haley are, as far as I know, fine. Married. Apparently, the 41 guests who stayed said it was actually quite moving, which I believe. Tyler is genuinely warm. When he's in a room where no one is reminding him to perform, he's the best version of himself.